Hello everyone, and welcome back to Sakura Unboxing. So, unfortunately this isn't the merch video that I had planned because I actually kind of have to organize what merch I got from January 2023 and so on. So I'm gonna do that, and that video might take a while to be made. But yeah, today I actually got a figure in the mail that I ended up having to put on Surface Mail Premium, and it finally arrived, so I thought I might as well just unbox that for you all on camera. So yeah, that's just the plan for today, and unfortunately, I would show, maybe the figure up here and such, but unfortunately, the box for it is massive. It's probably the biggest figure box I have, so that's just saying how big this figure is overall. So without further ado, let us transition into my little unboxing setup. So I kind of mixed things up a little bit with this video. That's what happens when you don't do a single figure review for a while. You kind of forget the format of things. So I'm just gonna say the figure right here just to keep things a little bit consistent. But the figure I'll be talking about today is the Hatsunemiku Project Diva Hatsunemiku My Dear Bunny version 1/4 figure by Freeing. One that I've been waiting quite a long time for since I had to put this on Surface, but yes, I finally have her in my hands. So without further ado, let us get into the general information for this figure. So moving to some general information about this figure. So this figure is manufactured by Freeing, and she originally released in June of 2019, and she got a re-release in January of 2023. So moving on to the dimensions, so she is a 1/4 scale figure and she measures roughly 17.94 inches tall. Moving on to where I bought her from, so I bought her off of AmiAmi, and on there she was discounted, so she went from 33,000 yen to 28,000 yen, which is roughly $203.48 USD. So overall, I'd say that's a pretty good price for this sort of unique type of B style. But here is kind of the kicker if you do order her off of AmiAmi, and that is the shipping prices. So EMS was 17,260 yen, DHL was 18,198 yen, and Surface Mail Premium was 8,442 yen. So yes, while that base price of around 200 USD is pretty nice, shipping is crazy. So I wouldn't really recommend getting her off of AmiAmi unless you don't mind doing Surface Mail Premium, because you're basically paying an extra 100, maybe I think 130 USD or so in shipping. I'll put, of course, a more accurate calculation. But yeah, I just, at the end of the day, didn't want to pay over 100 USD for shipping. I was a little bit disappointed. I went back and forth on it, and then I ended up going with Surface Mail Premium, which hurt a bit, but of course I would be saving some money in the long run. So now I'm gonna go into how long I had to wait for this figure. So I ended up paying for her maybe a couple of days after I made that community post about what should I do with paying for her. And so yeah, probably maybe January 20th, maybe a little bit later than that or so. And then I had to wait because AmiAmi has their own little storage container for Surface, and they have to actually fill the whole thing up before shipping it out. They just don't want to have like a half-empty container and such to ship out. So yes, I had to wait quite a while for that to finally happen. I emailed them at the end of February. They said it hadn't left their facility, and then at the end of March they said that the package has left their facility and is en route to my country, in this case the United States. So I'd say roughly it took 2 months to kind of ship out of AmiAmi and finally head towards, my home country. So surprisingly then, I only had to wait for her for a month, so I got her at the end of April. And yeah, that was quite surprising. So pretty much it took her 2 months or so to leave Japan, and like 1 month by boat, and then she was in my country. So I'd say roughly it was a 3 month wait for her overall. Thankfully, I feel like time went by pretty quickly, so you know, it wasn't too bad. I mean, there were some moments where I'm like, oh my god, is she gonna ship? You know, I feared the worst, but you know, thankfully, you know, Surface is, I'd say, pretty reliable overall if you don't mind waiting and if you really want to save some money in the long run. Now moving on to the box size, so she came in Ami Ami size 140 box, which I was kind of surprised about. I thought she would come in at least a 160 maybe, but no, standard, you know, 140 size Ami Ami box. So this is the reason why I didn't, of course, show this figure off in my usual spot, because of how massive, how heavy, and how sort of grand this box is. And this is, of course, the B-Style Hatsunemiku Project Diva Arcade Hatsunemiku My Dear Bunny version 1/4 by Freeing. So this is actually a re-release because this was released quite a ways back, and you know, aftermarket-wise, before this re-release, it was quite expensive. I believe I saw her on Mandarake. I mean, it was sold out, but it was pretty much like double the price. So I'm like, okay, we're not gonna invest into that. And thankfully, Freeing gave us a re-release with the tights as well, which is very nice. So yeah, pretty much I had to put this on Surface Mail Premium just because of the shipping costs. Of course, I made a community post about this a while back, but yeah, I wasn't, you know, too pleased to see the shipping costs for this. So yeah, quite a big wait, but thankfully, yeah, I feel like time kind of flew, which is good. But yeah, oh my god, I have to say though that, you know, I'm very excited for this figure because I really love this 1/4 figure. So yeah, very gorgeous overall box. Definitely much higher quality than some of, like, you know, Freeing's like other boxes, like for instance the tiger that I have. Like hers is like a cardboard box, and this one is like a much more high quality sort of box. So yes, without further ado, let us free the Miku. So yes, she's out of the box. It's humongous. This might become my new tallest Freeing bunny. We'll have to see how she compares next to X10. And I also forgot to mention that this little plastic thing was wrapped around the box just to kind of keep it together. You know, just so the parts don't like slide apart. So yeah, it's kind of hard to put back on the box. So yeah, I kind of want to keep it, but I'll struggle, you know, putting this back onto the box later. But yeah, it just meant to be kind of like a sort of seal to it. And now that I now that I look at it, I notice it does have, like, you know, it is sticky and stuck together, so you can probably like open it apart and then just wrap it around the box, you know, just to kind of keep the box sealed, you know, especially when you have to move and such. So yeah, I'm just gonna be holding on to this for the time being. So yeah, also a quick story, you know, I did actually remove that little plastic part before because I took her out of the box and I heard some rattling and I panicked a little bit, and you know, that something might have broke, but thankfully it was just one of the replacement like ears that they put on, like the half ears, I guess you can call them. So yeah, thankfully it was just that just kind of fell out of her head. And yeah, so yes, without further ado, let us open the blister packaging. So first, I'm actually just gonna hold her right here, and oh, I absolutely love her so far. So yeah, very nice design so far, and you know, all of the writing that they have on her outfit is very nice, and I do probably have to look at this like a little bit closer later, see if there's any other issues I can spot, but right now, so far so good. Nothing has been broken, thankfully. So yeah, let's actually get her on the base. So yeah, I kind of struggled putting her on the base itself, so she's kind of actually just sitting on the floor while I unbox all the other stuff that she comes with. So of course I have the two very nice ears that she comes with. The printing on it is very well done, and I do like the gradient overall. And it does sort of have like a slightly glittery, shimmery effect to it, which is very nice. And then after that, we have of course Miku's crown and glory, the pigtails that I have to unbox, so let me get those out quickly. So yeah, the two, I'm sorry if I'm like also blocked by this giant box, but we got the twin tails, very massive, very nice coloring, and yeah, it has some nice translucentness to it overall. Let's see. I'm just noticing if there's any like seam lines or terrible cracks or anything. There is kind of one that I have on mine a little bit, which I'm not too sure if it's like, because I'm like noticing it doesn't look like it's coming apart, so it just maybe like a seam line issue, but overall these are some very nice looking twin tails overall, so I'll put these on Miku right now. So yeah, now I just gotta put in, of course, her pigtails and the ears. So yeah, they have these little like extra pieces. I think they're supposed to prevent like the plastic from shrinking, and that's why they're there, so yeah, you just gotta pop them off. Yeah, I noticed that the left one on her was the one that fell off, and it felt pretty loose taking it out, so yeah. I'm just glad it wasn't anything else that cracked, so that's all in good. So quickly, I also want to talk about like the left pigtail in the back. I kind of struggled to get the plastic peg out, and I'd probably be careful when pulling it out because it was quite a tight fit. You don't want to use too much force, then you accidentally like bump into her arm or something, and her hand like possibly hits you in the face or something, or I don't know, you can accidentally scratch the arm. So yeah, that's just something to kind of be careful with when taking it out. Just again, slowly wiggle and take your time while taking out that sort of temporary peg. So yeah, here she is all complete, which was a little bit tricky to put like the pigtails in. I kind of had to angle them a little bit. And what I also recommend doing is if you have like the plastic that comes with the figure, you have to probably be careful with putting this in because of where her arm is situated. So I ended up having just to put like this plastic like kind of like in between her arm and the pigtail, just to kind of make sure I don't get any transfer from the pigtails to her arm. And also kind of did it a little bit around the skirt as well, with covering of the plastic, just because, you know, I did kind of have to push. So yeah, that's just, I guess, a little tip that I have just to, you know, prevent some paint transfer. But yeah, overall, this is absolutely stunning. I actually have to look for her from the front because I can't tell, but the pigtails definitely make her look way more grand than she is. So yeah, very gorgeous, gorgeous bunny overall. I'm very glad that, you know, I got this, and I feel like it's absolutely worth the wait. So yeah, I'll now get on to my usual position, you know, with her in hand. So now moving on to the B-roll, where it's a little bit rough and I'm kind of looking like a hot mess. I literally did that B-roll when I got home from work. And yeah, so it's a very gorgeous box overall. I love the sort of holographicness in some areas and just how much like quality it is. It's very sturdy, it's very heavy, especially with the figure on the inside. And yeah, it has all these little music notes, all these little details, and you can possibly scratch off the holographic details, so I just really be careful about that. And we have, I guess, sound bars or something on the side of it. But yeah, it's definitely the most like high quality box I say in my collection. It's a very nice material overall. And it is very heavy, especially with the figure on the inside, and I think that's what caused the shipping cost to be what it is, which is quite unfortunate. So yeah. And very nice large image of the figure on the back, and, you know, top and bottom saying where this bunny originates from. So yeah, very gorgeous box overall, but might be pretty tricky to store considering its overall size. So now we're moving on to the assembly process, and it's overall a pretty straightforward process with a couple of extra steps. Starting off, we have the massive kind of plain transparent blue base. So yeah, nothing too special about this overall. It does have kind of these like grid pattern to it, I guess maybe for extra support. And we have these two clear plastic supports for her feet. One has a hole directly through it for the back, and the other one has a little tiny stub of plastic for the front foot. Now, putting these in, it's pretty straightforward overall. The back one right here, where the metal rod, you know, goes through, it's pretty easy, just slides on in, quite simple. The other one on the front, I did have to use a little bit more force and like wiggling to get that in, but it's pretty straightforward process overall. Moving on to the figure herself, she looks absolutely gorgeous and maybe a little bit ridiculous with these plastic pegs in her head, but those of course will be removed soon. And yeah, just the overall sculpt, folds, and details on this are fantastic, and I'm very happy that Freeing decided to include the tights for the re-release, because I'm not too sure how these would look without them, but yeah, I'm kind of glad they kept the tights for this re-release. Now, putting this in, definitely recommend starting with the front foot first and then doing the back. I tried doing it back to front and it just wasn't working out, and definitely do this at eye level so you can get that in easily. Now, moving on to, of course, Miku's crowning glory, these massive pigtails. Very gorgeous overall, and I did show both of these off because they're pretty much have actually different sculpts to them. I just had to double check. And yeah, very gorgeous overall with the gradation of the color and just, you know, the way that they did the strands and the flow of it all definitely gives it a lot of movement, which I really do like. And yeah, so very nice pigtails overall. So yeah, moving on to putting those in, you do have these temporary little plugs that I guess prevent the holes in her head from shrinking. I'm not too sure how that works over time. But yeah, you just pull those out. Definitely be careful maybe with the one that's closer to her hand so you don't accidentally, you know, use too much force and knock her over. And then putting these in the head. So yes, each of these holes have different shapes, and each of the pegs on the twin tails have a different shape to them. And you do kind of have to angle them a little bit. I was struggling a little bit just so I don't also block the camera. But yeah, just angle it a little bit and it should easily fit into the head. And then of course, you do the same for the other side as well. Now, this arm, it kind of gets in the way a little bit, and I fear, paint transfer will happen, so I actually used, of course, some plastic from the packaging to wrap it around her arm and insert the other pigtail in because, I feel like there's definitely a bigger chance to get paint transfer on this side, so yeah, I recommend doing that, and then you can just take the plastic off, and there you go. The last part are the ears, so pretty straightforward to put these in, and I really do like how shimmery these are, and the paint applications are very nice. So yes, take out these little extra pieces and put the little ears in, and you're pretty much completed with assembling this gorgeous B-style Miku. So now we're moving on to the B-roll for the figure, and I have to say that this is a very standout freeing B-style in my collection. For the overall composition and outfit choice for this, definitely a very nice translation from the original Project Diva costume into figure form, and I'm very happy that this overall got a re-release because, I really love the design overall. And if she is a little bit wobbly, I apologize for that, but she barely fits on my turntable, and I was worried on a few occasions that she was gonna fall off, but thankfully that wasn't the case. So yeah, that just shows how, big of a figure this is and how big of a base that she has. And yeah, so overall, I love the sculpt, I love the details, the frills on her outfit are fantastic, and the coloring is very well done overall. She does have some nice shading to her head, which I really do like. I don't think I pointed that out before, but it's very nicely done there. And I do like the different textures used, so yeah, we also have, of course, the little decals that they printed on her dress, which are very clean and not too blurry. Her eyes are very well done. I love the design, and she does have a little bit of translucentness to some of the parts of her hair up here. The ears, very nice pop of yellow and orange to the figure, and they just look very cute overall. Now, the bunny tail, nothing to really write home about. Maybe not the best sculpting job, but it doesn't really bother me too much. And I really took one just B-roll of the twin tail, but very nice flow to the both of them overall, and very nice sculpt to them. And yeah, helps to give the figure a little bit more movement to her. Now unfortunately, there are just some small areas that the paint wasn't very clean. So this one right here, maybe even the yellow band a little bit on it, and someone maybe accidentally had their fingerprint on the black part right there. And in some areas of the dress, there are some small kind of rough areas that I kind of tried to point out. If you rub your finger along that, you can definitely kind of feel it, but not too noticeable overall, but it is there. And the last thing that happened is, unfortunately, like the back of one of her pigtails got a little bit scraped, but it's in the bag, so that's alright. So yes, overall, a very fantastic freeing B-style. If you really love Hatsune Miku, I definitely recommend picking this up. Or if you just really want a sort of standout bunny girl, I definitely recommend picking this one up. So now doing a quick size comparison, so right here we have the Nendoroid Sakura Miku Bloomed in Japan version by Good Small Company. After that we have the Silver Ash York Spice 1/8 scale figure by Good Small Art Shanghai. After that, maybe a little bit of a smaller 1/7 figure, we have the Ying Sui 1/7 complete figure by Neon Max. Now we have a 1/6 figure. This is the Mauve figure by Native and Rocket Boy. And lastly, we have another 1/4 scale figure, which is of course my usual 1/4 I go for, the X10 B-style, who apparently is still a little bit taller than Miku. It's kind of hard to tell, but according to my figure collection, she is a little bit taller than the Miku, but yeah, I think both of them actually look very fantastic overall together. So my overall thoughts on this 1/4 Bunny Miku is that she is absolutely fantastic and gorgeous. I highly recommend her, of course, if you are a big Miku fan or you just want a unique B-style in your collection. So the overall sculpt on her is absolutely fantastic. The dress is very well detailed with the folds and wrinkles and frills. I also really like the applications to her in pretty much like all the areas, like her face, the little writing details on her dress, and even the little sort of details on the ears. Those are all very well printed on. Nothing is very sloppy, I'd say. And her twin tails are fantastic. I really just love the overall flow to them, and they have some also very nice shading and color gradation, and it helps to also, you know, give the figure some movement like she is dancing on stage. And I'd say it's an overall very like visually appealing color palette, and of course that is thanks to the original costume design from the game. And yeah, so overall very, very happy that Fring re-released her with the tights. I couldn't imagine this figure without them. So yes, I'm very glad and, you know, fortunate that they did include the tights with the re-release. So I don't really have any major cons for this figure, maybe just some slight nitpicks, at least with my copy of this figure. So there are some imperfections in some areas. The yellow lining on the dress maybe isn't clean in some areas, and there is some like rough parts on the figure. There was also that little weird fingerprint marking where I guess the paint didn't dry and someone accidentally put their finger there. And then also one of the twin tails had a little scrape on the back, but other than that, you know, those are just some minor little issues, which, you know, I'm sure are not on everyone's copies, but, you know, I just wanted to point them out. So I guess maybe another pro/con is that the box she came in is absolutely gorgeous and fantastic. Very high quality compared to some of Fring's other boxes, specifically any of, I guess, their other B-style boxes. I could be wrong, but yeah, gorgeous detailing with the holographic pattern, and it's just very sturdy overall. But I guess some people might have an issue with it being way too big. And if you are very tight on space, or you basically have no space at all, I would probably skip on getting this figure because it will take up quite a bit of space. And if you do keep your AmiAmi boxes to store it in, you could put some Ninjaroids in that box with the B-style Miku box, but I haven't actually tried it. But yeah, that's just quite a little bit extra annoyance if you are running out of space. So moving on to aftermarket value, so I am noticing in some areas that it fluctuates quite a bit. So I do have some from Yahoo Japan auctions where some people are betting on her, and she's actually at 114 USD, but that's obviously people are still going to bid for the figure, so it's probably going to go up. Someone is selling her for 319, which is expensive. I see one on Yahoo Japan Shopping for retail price, and Mercari JP does have a few for relatively the same price, some of them even a lot higher, some even over 300 actually. Now also, I forgot to also mention Mandarake, they do have one up on there of her, but be warned again, the shipping is expensive, and it might be slightly more expensive on Mandarake than it is on AmiAmi, so just be warned about that. So I would also like to add that she is on the Good Smile US and the Good Smile International website, so you have those options if you would like to pick her up. Now, they aren't discounted like AmiAmi, and you know, but I'd say that the shipping costs are definitely a lot more lenient than AmiAmi, so on the US website, this figure is $299.99, and on the international website, she is 33,000 yen, which I'll do a rough, you know, calculation for that in USD. But, you know, the shipping is definitely cheaper on those websites, so, you know, I'll quickly show up the total cost for if I were to buy this off of the US website. You do have to be wary about the tax for this figure, so be warned if you get her off the US website. Definitely a lot more expensive, I'd say, overall. And on the international website, you do have that flat rate 2,000 yen shipping, which is fantastic overall, especially if you're getting large figures like 1/4 and such. So I definitely say that the international website is the way to go if you want to get this figure relatively quickly and for cheap shipping overall. But if you don't mind waiting a few months for this figure, she is still available on AmiAmi with a discount. But of course be wary of that very high shipping cost if you do want to get her right away. So I'll actually pop up Good Smile US and International's total cost for this figure, as well as Ami Ami's, just to give you guys an idea of, you know, different total costs for buying a single figure or the same figure. And yeah, it's just to give you guys an idea of the importance of just looking around at different websites to get the best bang for your buck when it comes to the figure you want. So overall, I have to say I am very happy with this re-release of this Miku bunny. I'm very happy that Free included the tights on her, and I just love her overall design, and she's definitely a standout B-style in my collection. So yes, again, highly recommend picking this up if you're looking for a unique B-style or you are a very big Miku fan. And overall, I hope that this review helps your decision on whether or not you'd like to pick up this Miku B-style or not. So that overall concludes this video on unboxing that very beautiful Miku figure. I really love how she turned out, and I'm very glad that she came to me in one piece and didn't get lost. And also, before I end the video, I'd like to give a big thank you for helping me reach over 500 subs, you know, halfway to 1,000, which feels very nice. So yes, I thank you all again for your support, you know, the likes, the subscribes, the, you know, the very nice comments that people have to write, and, you know, your opinions as well as some of the figures that I have purchased. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you all have a great morning, afternoon, or night wherever you are, and take it easy. Goodbye. So one last thing before I end the video, and that is I have opened up a Patreon. So I'm sorry if I'm not doing this on camera, because I did record this video ahead in advance and I just got home from work and it's a little bit late, so I thought I might as well just do a voiceover for it. So yes, I opened up a Patreon and I do have a couple of tiers already set up. This is completely optional. You don't have to donate if you don't want to, but you know, I just have this open if anyone does want to support me financially. And you know, thank you in advance to anyone who does support the Patreon. So I want to give a shout out, of course, to my Sakura supporters, and the first one who I have is Simon Ta. I hope I am pronouncing your name right, aka the Miyazaki Man, who also does content here on YouTube, whether it be figure unboxings or podcasts. Very cool dude, definitely go check him out if you have the time. And yeah, thank you so much for being my first Patreon member and first Sakura supporter. So yes, that pretty much concludes this video. I hope you all have, again, a wonderful morning, afternoon, or night wherever you are, and take it easy. See ya!